Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing out there today? Uh, Hopefully you're doing well. I know I am. Had a great day yesterday out with some friends. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about retirement. I meant to talk about finances. Hadn't really quite got started with that yet, but I've gotten several questions on retirement. What does retirement look like? So, I want to start doing these segments about retirement, starting with this one. So in this one, I want to talk about CCRC. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with CCRC, which is continuing care retirement communities. Had to make sure I get that right. What's going on, Howard? How you doing today? K Mac, what's going on? Okay, so what are these retirement communities? Well, in each state in the United States is different. All right. Your only option is not just going overseas. There are communities. I'm going to just talk about the ones I'm familiar with. I haven't been living all over the US. I've been primarily living in Arizona, California, and in the South. I'll put it that way. Okay. But mainly I've been living when I was in the States in Arizona and California. What's going on? How you doing? Okay. So uh, continuing care retirement communities, CCRC. So I'm just going to use that acronym from this point forward. So basically, there are communities out there that are just for seniors and retirement. Okay, people who are retired. Now, normally in Arizona and in California, I can't speak about them all, and I believe is in Nevada as well. You need to be at least 55 years of age or older to live in these communities. A lot of these communities are different. Okay, some are set up for people who are on the much lower end of income, like they'll buy a mobile home, like a small mobile home, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and they'll put them in these communities, like in Arizona. Like we have areas that are called Sun City, that are in like the Litchfield, Goodyear area, close to that, and then we'll have some in Mesa, right? The ones that are in Mesa are more like some are middle of the road, some are high end. And basically, what happens is somebody would buy a mobile, they'll put it in that area, and then they would pay maybe $230 a month. And that's to pay for like water, if they have gas, sometimes cables included, and then the maintenance to maintain the facility. They'll usually have pools, they'll have like board games and things of that nature. Some even have a mini golf course on the facility. Now, when you're talking about areas like Sun City, um, those are more middle of the road, not quite high end, right? Where you got upper incomes over 100,000. You're buying a house worth maybe half a mil, 350,000 to half a mil. But again, you got to be 55 and older to live in those areas. That's the stipulation with CCRC, with some, not with all. And I'm just talking about the ones that I'm familiar with. So for you vets out there, your only income is VA. You're not getting Social Security. These are things that you can take a look at to see if this is something that's going to work for you. Because not everybody wants to leave the United States. Not everybody wants to leave and live in another country, right? Even though it may sound exciting, um, because I'm not old enough to even do it. That's part of the reason why I haven't left yet, because I kind of know where I want to go and what I want to do. I'm already planning it out versus I just go back to the States and start completely up. No, you always need to have a plan, in my opinion, before making any kind of major move in your life. You need some type of plan. So, with that being said, guys, look, if you're limited on income, you're not interested in going to another country, you want to stay in the US, you just want to live in the US, you want to try to be close to your family in whatever state you're in, I would look into CCRCs because each state has retirement communities. I would imagine they do. I can't speak for every single state in the US, but I know out in the West, they all have retirement communities and they're all more affordable. Shouldn't say all affordable, but there are quite a number that are affordable, uh, depending on your income level. So just a regular veteran at 100% should be able to live pretty comfortably in a retirement community. I'm not saying you're going to live the greatest life, only getting $3,700 a month, but you should live comfortable in those types of areas. So that is an option for people instead of always trying to look at going outside the country and dealing with that situation, because it's not as easy as people make it sound. It's not as clean as people make it sound. And what I mean by clean is that everything is lined up perfectly. So when you go outside the country, there's no issues. That's just never going to be realistic. Okay. There's always going to be things that come up overseas that you don't expect. And I don't care how long they've been living overseas. They always have something going on, either a policy change, new rule, or something that comes up that they were not expecting. So I get it for people who want to just stay in the United States. Not interested in going to another country. You're not interested in starting over. You want to see your grandkids go up, or you want to stay near your kids, or you want to stay near your family and friends. I get it completely. Okay. I got family that have been blowing me up lately, wanting me to come back to the States and just, hey, just look, we'll buy a guest house next to our house and you just live in that. You know, that type of situation. But I'm just saying, man, that there are more options out there for you guys when it comes to retirement and saving and having somewhere to go, other than thinking you have to leave the United States. Now, I know that there are certain age ranges that watch, right? Like take my man Howard, he's still in his 30s. So that's a long way to go before Howard is able to move into this type of community that I'm talking about. I know the Warriors in the same position where, you know, hey, he's not at that age yet. He even thinking about moving into retirement communities. But for those of you, I said 55. There are some that will take it at the age of 50. There are some communities when you're 50 years old that will, allow you to move in, but the vast majority are going to be 55 and up. Okay. There are a few exceptions at the age of 50. But I would say overall, man, that there are way more options in the United States of America that people rarely talk about, because this is something that most people never hear about, which is CCRCs, Continuing Care Retirement Community. And usually it's like they have their own city. I know in Sun City, when I used to do my own AC business, you know, in Sun City, it's like their own town. Even though it's inside of another city, they got it gated. And when you go in, they got their own mall, you know, their own salons and barbershops, and pretty much everything that's in the city is inside that community. So they never have to leave. You know, they drive around in golf carts. Nobody really has a car. Everybody has like a top golf cart tricked out. It's crazy to see, but hey, that's their community. That's how they live. And even with those golf carts, you know, you can make them legal. They take them out on the streets. If they got to go to Home Depot down the street, they go to Home Depot, right? But if for any of you that's ever been to Sun City in Phoenix, Arizona, that's located just short of, what is that, Litchfield, Avondale, Litchfield area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Those are all seniors that live out there. They help each other. They help take care of each other. But it's not the cheapest thing to live in that particular area. The one that's in Mesa, closer to, I can't think of the name of it down in Mesa, but they have more of mobile homes, right? You can buy a mobile home, a small mobile home, newer mobile home in Mesa, maybe $25,000, $30,000 for you and your significant other, or just you. You go there, you get lot rent. Lot rent may be $400, $500 a month, and include all those things I talked about earlier. Those are options for people who don't want to leave the U.S. Okay, or you know, you look into investing into a smaller place where you don't have this 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house anymore, because you don't have kids anymore. There's nobody moving back in with you. Why do you need all that space? That's when you look into getting a condo or moving into an apartment or a townhouse, making it smaller, right? You know, if you don't have a reason to have all that space anymore, why do you need it? You know, that was part of my thing of why I didn't keep my place when I was in Yuma. I thought about it, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense financially for me to keep something that I never had planned on coming back to. because if I do move back, it wouldn't be to Yuma. I've had that experience. Not saying anything wrong with Yuma, but yeah, that's not where I would go. Um, if I did move back to the U.S. and kind of let you guys in on the plan that I came up with, which is I would move to Florida. There's a community in Fort Lauderdale that I looked at. It's a little bit on the higher end, right? Where you can rent a condo roughly closer to $2,800-$2,900 a month. It'll probably be well over three if I do decide to do this a month. And it was kind of like the situation I described earlier, where you got to be a certain age to live in there. Now somebody's going to ask, do both spouses need to be a certain age? That I cannot answer. Okay. Like if you 55 and she like 35, would that be an issue? That I don't know. I have not digged into it at that point because I'm not married to find out if that would be an issue. But I will tell you guys that there are other options. Never think that going overseas and just listening to other people that is your only option for living in the United States. Now, some people have decided that they just want to start over completely. Maybe their credit is jacked up. Maybe they got stuff on their background or whatever the case may be. And they decided that they want to go try overseas. But I can tell you that the vast majority of people who try to live overseas eventually end up back in the United States, because this is not for everybody. It's not. Regardless of how good the editing is, it's not for everybody. This is not everybody's dream is to live in a foreign country on a beach. No, there's a lot of barriers. There's always a lot of barriers and a lot of issues that come up that people don't expect. Now, that's not to bash living overseas, because I'm perfectly content living where I live. But that's just the reality. Everybody's not going to see it the same way when it comes to that. All right. So that was my little thing on community thing. That was about 15 minutes there. Let's go ahead and move into some other issues that veterans talk about that they want to know about that they're dealing with. Now, the Warrior recently left me a message, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it on Saturday, which was he got denied his enrollment into Voc Rehab. And I was hoping he would have brought it up on Saturday, but we're going to try to do it this Saturday if he comes on, talk about why he was denied, what was the reason that the counselor gave, and did he come up with a plan and presented it to the counselor. What I've learned from dealing with Voc Rehab, and I already have 2 degrees. Now, I've been deemed unemployable, which basically means doesn't matter what I come up with, they're not going to allow me back in the program. Even though I have time I can still use, they're not going to let me back in the program. Well, what I would say is, if you're going to take the Voc Rehab route, okay, and you're already working, you need to have a solid reason as to why you want to change jobs, and then present them with something that shows you're taking this seriously, that you've already looked at the school or the certificate or the program that you need. You've already taken steps to find out how long it's going to take you, how you're going to work that school or the certificate program in, why you're going to work full time, right? These people need to know these reasons, because I'm just being honest with you guys. If you just go and you say, okay, I want to go to school through Voc Rehab, but you don't really give them a reason why you want to go to school, it just sounds like you're trying to get extra money. And that's not what the program is for. Now, I know that there's some people out there who do it just to get the extra money, and they have no intentions of ever going to school. All right. And they've been getting away with it until recently. All right. The same with the GI Bill. You guys got to be careful out there, man, because those programs are designed for a specific reason. Now, you're going to use your GI Bill to go to school? Fine. But what are you going to do when you're done with it? Are you actually looking for a job, or you just gonna, okay, I'm done with it. Let me try to move on to the next thing. Be careful out there doing that. Be careful. But when it comes to voc rehab and starting over, I'm just telling you based upon my experience from when I could go to school. I gave them a reason, even though I had just got a degree, as to why I wanted to switch, what my schedule would look like, right? And how it would benefit me and my family. That's the way I explained it. Now, every counselor is going to be different. You know, the way they look at the situation. Uh, every counselor is not going to agree with every single thing that you should be getting as someone who's on voc rehab. Sometimes they don't see it the same way that you see it. And even if you explain it perfectly and you write it all out, you lay it all out, there's still a chance you may be denied because nothing is guaranteed. But in my experience, that's been the best way to do it, is to just lay it all out and give them the opportunity to see exactly what it is, your vision that you're trying to do. Let's see. K-Max, salute to Howard. Okay. The GI Bill you paid for in boot camp. Okay, got you, JM. But you got to understand something, okay? Not that you got to understand. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say it like that. I want to explain it this way. Just because you're entitled to something, that doesn't mean that what you think you could use it for is the way the government intended. I'm going to repeat that. Just because you paid for something, you may be entitled to something. Are you using it the way it was intended? I'm just asking. If you own a car, you pay car insurance, right? Okay. You decide you don't want the car anymore. You just go outside and you set the car on fire. Now you paying for insurance. The insurance should cover it, right? Right? But was that the way it was intended? No, it wasn't. And that's all I'm saying, man, is there's plenty of things that we're entitled to as veterans. Plenty of things out there we're entitled to. Like with voc rehab, and I'm explaining voc rehab. You're entitled to voc rehab if you meet the requirements. But that doesn't mean that every single time you're going to be able to use it. It's what you're using it for and how you're using it. Whenever you start thinking that, okay, I paid for this, so it's mine. It is not yours. It is not yours. It's theirs. You're entitled to it, but what are you going to do with it? How are you going to use it? Because that very same sentiment has gotten many people thrown in jail, lost their benefits and thrown in jail because they think, okay, I paid for this, then I should be able to use it. What are you using it for? That's the only thing I'm trying to explain the difference, man. You have to look at it from their standpoint because it's theirs. They're in control of it. Just like any insurance company or any business, they're in control of it. You may have paid into it, but if you don't have the right reasons for doing it and they go back and they say, wait a minute, why did you go to school if you never intended to get a job? Oh, well, what are you going to say? Well, I just wanted the money. Well, how you think they're going to look at that? That's not a reason to use it. What's up, family man? How you doing? K-Mac, talking family man. And that's all I'm saying, man. You guys do what you think is best for you. I'm just explaining to you how some people, as of recently, have ended up in trouble, have ended up going to jail, have ended up losing everything because they thought, well, I did this, so it's mine. It's not yours. It's still the federal government. They're still in control of it. They still have rules for it. So you just can't take the idea that you did something, well, it's mine. Just like with Social Security. People paying Social Security every month. Every time they get paid, they got money that goes into Social Security, right? You go apply for Social Security and they say, no, we don't think you meet the requirements. Are you going to sit there and just keep arguing? Well, I paid for it. It's mine. They're in control of it. They're in control. Never forget who's in control of what. Doesn't matter what you did. They're in control of it. And they make the decision. So if they make the decision that, hey, we think you had no intentions of ever using this for what it was intended to, and then they charge you with fraud. Now what? Now you're going to lose your 100%. Now you're going to lose your freedom all because you're saying, oh, well, I paid for it in boot camp. That means nothing to them because it's theirs. Ultimately, it's theirs. It's an entitlement. It's not a right. That's what it boils down to. All right, guys, for this last 10 minutes here, do we have any questions I can try to answer for you guys? Or my housekeeper here, I don't know what she's doing. Do you have any questions in this last 10 minutes, man? I can try to help answer if I know, or if someone in the comment section knows about it, they can try to answer for my last 10 minutes on with this live. But and I'm not trying to be smart and sound like I know it all, man, but I've read enough stories and I've heard about enough stories of vets doing things because they're like, I did this. Never forget who's in charge of what you're doing, which is the federal government. But I will say this. I want to bring this up real quick while I got this time, man. Passports are like driver's license, right? You're not entitled, right? It's not like something you got to have, which is a passport. And with social media and the way things are going, this is just my opinion on this. I think at some point, the situation with the passports on social media is going to reach one of these politicians. And I think there's going to be a change when it comes to the passport system from the way it is right now until the government gets involved in this. And then nobody's going to like it. Because right now, anyone can apply for a passport. Anyone. Regardless of your background, unless you like old child support or you got a mountain of debt or whatever, and from the federal government, they like, hell no, we ain't giving you a passport. Pretty much anybody can apply for it and get one. Right? But with certain things that are going on in social media right now, I just fear, this is my fear, that some politician is going to hear about this, is going to get involved in this, and they're going to create some kind of bill that's going to change the way we're able to either get a passport or maneuver around the globe because of certain things that are happening on social media. That's just my opinion about it. Okay. If you follow any of the social media currently out there, there's a lot going on in social media with certain groups. And I just fear that something's going to happen that's going to sway it one way, and it's just never going to be the same again. You can get back the $1,200 you paid for the GI Bill if you have no intentions of using it. The $1,200 you paid to the GI Bill, you only have so long to do it. Like, there are so many. Okay, I'm gonna do a video about this because there are so many different points and time frames involved with the GI Bill. It depends on when you got in, when you got out, whether you have any time left. You know, before 2000, what was it, 2001, when they have GI Bill forever or GI Bill for life, you had a certain amount of time to use it or you lose it. You know, again, JM, anytime you start thinking something you paid for dealing with our government is yours, that's where people make the mistake. It is never yours. It's never yours. I don't care what it is. You dealing with our U.S. government. You've been in the military. You should know this. I don't care what you do in the military. You paid. Okay, fine. You paid for it. Does that always mean you get it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. When you're dealing with our U.S. government and an entitlement, okay, it's up to them. It's their choice, not yours. And then what are you doing with it? Because once you start thinking, this is what I paid, this is mine, this is what I'm going to do, fine, do it until they step in and go, okay, well, this is not what it was intended for. Again, man, you should go back and look at some of the community page because there are plenty of people who thought that way that are in jail right now, that are paying back over $1 million right now because they thought they could just take this money and take this money because they paid into the system. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, man. It does not work like that. You know, again, I'm going to use the Social Security example. You pay into Social Security when you got a job, or you're in military, you paid into Social Security. Right. Okay. You get Social Security. And then you decide, okay, well, I'm going to just go back to work while I'm on Social Security. Never tell them nothing, right? Just collect Social Security for 3 years and work straight for 3 years. Nobody told nobody nothing until one day it catches up with you. Now, what do you think happens at that point? Because remember now, you paid into it. You think they're going to look at that the same way and say, okay, well, you paid us for this, so it's yours. No, they looking at you. You committed fraud, bro. You cheating the government. Or give you another example. People who go and apply for food stamps while they're receiving VA compensation. Now, again, you paid for this because you paid taxes in your state, right? You paid for it. So why are you not entitled to it? Even though your only income is VA, why are you not entitled to it? Again, I'm telling you, man, when you all start thinking, or when someone gets it in their head, I paid for this. It's mine. Not with our federal government. Not with our federal government. And if anybody's out there doing that, man, it's only a matter of time before they catch you. If you collecting food stamps, knowing you're receiving, knowing that you're getting VA money, it's only a matter of time. Because I believe on the application, excuse me, it asks you specifically, are you receiving money from the U.S. government? VA, Social Security, so on and so forth. You had to lie in order to receive food stamps. You had to lie. Because I'm sure it's on the application. As a matter of fact, I'm positive it's on the application. So if there's anybody out there doing that, man, it's just a matter of time before you get caught. It's just a matter of time. Like with all these situations, like I showed you guys in the community page, there was guys getting away with it for over 20 years until one day, excuse me, until one day they got investigated. Then guess what? They went to prison for lying. So, hey, if you feel like it's yours and you want to do it, be my guest. You know, there's some people out there right now that are actually cheating the system and they think they're getting away with it. I'm telling you, it's going to come up when they least expect it. They're going to get that knock on the door, or somebody's going to show up where they are. They're not going to expect it. And they're going to be like, damn, I didn't know I couldn't do that. There's no way you didn't know. When you receive a benefit, dude, they give you paperwork with the benefit to explain the rules to you. And a lot of times people never read those rules. Now, whose fault is that for not reading it? Because most of the time when people get awarded something, they just want to see how much they got and they throw the rest away. You have to read what they send in order to understand it. All right, guys. But I will do a video on the GI Bill explaining, especially the different time periods. Because if you believe you getting that money back that you paid into it, that's going to depend on what era you came in, what era you got out. Because that's not something that everybody's going to do. But most of the time, the answer to that going to be no. No. But I'll do a video on it specifically for you to understand or help people understand the GI Bill and how it works. And the last thing I'll say is, for those of you asked about being on Social Security and going to school, you better call Social Security and talk to them first. Make sure that's something that they're okay with before you just go out and do it. Because that may trigger a CDR, and you may not be ready for that CDR. All right? But all right, guys, that's going to be my time for today. Hey, I appreciate everybody watching as always. And until the next time, guys, I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day.